Hey y'all, Bob with Million Mile Garage. We're going to start putting the stroker together this weekend. We're going to have to measure some ring end gaps. And what I've also been measuring is the weight of everything because we bought a balanced kit. I'm just showing you the sheet that came with it real quick. And we'll do a tally of that later on after we get this thing put together. But I'm looking down here. Looks like that's the total bob weight was 1583. Said the pistons weigh 432, and I measured all of them, and all of them came out to roughly 432. I'm going to say this scale is probably, it's a postal scale, and it's probably good within a gram or two, so kind of take that with a grain of salt. But I did basically get all of them to measure at 432 grams, so that's where the weight is on the piston. So far that's spot on. I didn't think to measure the rods and the pins, but what I will do is after we get the rings filed to size, we'll weigh those, and this scale may or may not be accurate enough to just, weigh one ring package. What I had done originally, I'll show you, I think this is still set at grams. If I take everything, including the support rails, right, that's going to be everything that's going to be going into this engine, and keeping in mind there's some tear weight on the bag, right, we're at 346 grams. And I can't remember if I did the math already on those. I guess I didn't. But if you take 346 divided by 8, it comes out real close to the ring package, which is 42. 36 for the ring package, and then for the oil support ring, it's another 6 grams. And I think when you do the math on this, I think it works out to like 43.5. So we're 1.5 grams off. I would say that probably is equivalent, probably the weight of all these bags, I would think, maybe. But anyway, when we get these unbagged, I'll do a better job on that. But just kind of curious, here's how I think they do this. I think they basically have a pretty good idea of what all these items weigh, right? And then they basically balance the crankshaft for this kit without individually weighing these actual components we got. But I would say the manufacturing tolerances on these are so tight. I think that's why it works out just fine. So I'm going to guess that when we get done doing this, I think I'm going to be within a couple of grams of what that says. And if we're within a couple of grams of that, that's nothing. So anyway, I'm going to get the rings out of their packages. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm probably going to put a little dot of paint on probably the top ring. I'll probably put some yellow on it so I don't get them confused. And probably what I'm going to do is as I fit them, I'm probably going to leave the top ring in the bottom, towards the bottom of the bore at the top, and then the second ring will be on top. So when I go to mount these, I can do it in the proper order. And I got all these pressed on this week. It wasn't like the videos you watch where the big burly guy presses the ring in with his thumb, at least when he's doing it on a 4-cylinder engine. These rings took a lot of force to get them in. I basically used the divots and used a very small screwdriver to work those in. That was there's a process to it. You guys can, there's a lot of videos out there on it, so I didn't bother showing it. And that's the first time I've ever had to do floating pins. All my stuff has always been pressed rods. So, but it looks like it came out really good. All of them are seated in really nice. And I had to be careful not to have, there's the gap right there on the ring. You don't want the gap lined up with the divot because then you'll never be able to get the ring out. So anyway, all that went really good. So let me get this stuff out of the packages and I'll start measuring and just kind of show you what I do. I think I'm going to set these around 18 thousandths top and bottom. I did a little research on it. They're forged pistons. I know the engine is not going to be driven gently, so I want to be on the loose side of the ring gaps. I think if you look at a shop manual, I think they give a range of 10 to 20, and I'll find my sheet. I'll show that in the next frame, basically where I came up with those calculations. Hey y'all, I got all the stuff out of the packaging. I went ahead and marked the second ring. Each one of those has a yellow dot. Just for my eyesight, I can tell. I know you can easily tell a top from a second ring. But so I've got a full ring pack here. 36, right? And then it says the oil ring support weighs 6 grams. So that's one of the oil ring supports. Let's put that on there. And sometimes the scale doesn't repeat the best, so I'm just going to take these and just set them down as one unit. There we go, 42. So if we do the math, 36 and 6, 42. So far, what they say everything weighs, it's weighed exactly. 432 grams on the pistons, 42 grams on the ring package. Cool. Okay, I decided to do the oil ring first. I'm just coming in here, trying not to shadow this too bad. I'm just coming in and checking this. And 15ths drags through there pretty nice. Yeah, move that off square a little bit. Oil rings are hard to do because they're such low tension. If I come in here real careful, there you can see it goes in. It still moves it just a little bit. There, I got it to come in square that time. It stayed square. So yeah, that drags in and it's right at 15. So I'd say we're good on that. I'm not gonna mess with the oil rings. Let's go ahead and move on to the, we'll start with the second ring first. How about that? All right, I'm gonna get the ring started on the bore here. And then I'm just gonna use a piston to square it up, and we'll put it down about, I'd say that's pretty good. That's squared up pretty good. All right, let's come in and see what we got for feeler gauge. All right, I'm just gonna come in and check. This is 18. And it drags just a little bit towards the wall. I'm gonna say these gaps are never 100% square, even if they're ground square. I haven't ground this one yet, but I'm gonna say that's right at 18 the way it is. It just drags just a little bit. If I try to go a little tighter, let's say we'll put in a 1.5 thousandths shim. That may or may not go in. Yeah, that's a little tight. So I'm going to say we're right around the 18, which is what I was going to be shooting for. So I got a funny feeling this Scat cranks, they kind of knew what they were shooting for, I guess, for this type of engine. So these are actually gapped on the loose side to begin with. Now, keeping in mind, I did have to hone these bores out, re-hone them, and they were all set around 430, 30 and a half when I had the hypers in it. So I think this number one here, I think right where this is, I think it's like 4,031 and a half. It's maybe 1.5 over. So these maybe would have been 15 and a half maybe. So I'm going to say 18's good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to check the rest of them and make sure they're there. I have no idea if the top rings are gapped the same way. So let's see where those are at. All right, we're just going to take this second ring and just push it a little farther down the bore. Just going to leave it in there, and then I'm going to put in the top ring. We'll get that in there. It should go right in. Yep. We'll square it up on the bore. Is that pretty square? Yep, that squared that up just fine. That looks good. Okay. Let's see if we get 18 on this one. 18 drags in there. Yep. I'd say those are really close. So I'm going to say they're all 18-ish. So the top one is also around 18. So I might could fit, it drags. Yeah, that's not bad. That's in there pretty good. All right, I'll check the rest of them. And if I'm lucky, I guess I won't have to do a whole lot of file fitting today. Cool. Okay, using the same 18 feeler gauge. This one is a little tight. When I get right up to the edges where they butt together against the wall, it's not going in quite. I kind of have to force it. I'd say it's close, but just because I want them all to be 18-ish, I am going to take this second ring out and I'm going to file fit it. And this could just be because this bore is just slightly smaller. I'll have to go, I don't remember what I wrote down for this when I measured them all. Some of them were a little tighter than others. So this one is just a tad tight. So I'm just going to take this one and just open it up just ever so slightly. And some of these rings, the way they're cut, you can see there's just a little bit of a raised edge right there. And I think that's where I'm getting the reading on that one. And again, you're just looking, I'm looking for 18 thousandths clearance. So when these rings get hot, if something happens and they're going to touch real close together, you can see, actually you can see right here when I put these together, you can probably see there's a little bit of a spot where you can see that the gap right here is just a tad bit narrower because that metal that hangs over just a little bit. So I'm just going to go in and just whittle one of these down just a little bit. It doesn't need to be much. And I got this handy ring gap filer right here that I bought just for doing such the thing. And make sure I got this, yep, facing up. And I'm going to grind it backwards so I'm not moving any material around I shouldn't be. I'm going to put it up against this stop. I'm going to try to square it up best I can. Maybe I'll show you guys that. Get that right over like that. The only thing I'm looking to do is I want to get this lined up as square as I can with the wheel. So when I come in, I'm not grinding at an angle. I want the gaps to be even as possible. So I'm just going to come in like this, and I'm going to find that spot where I'm not, rocking it too much. Just like that. I'm going to come in and just grind just a little bit of material and then check my work. The only thing I'm looking to do, you see I came in right here. I'm a little off kilter. I really wanted to grind more here. So I'm going to come in and just move that just a little bit that way. You see I got that pretty square. I'm just looking to just take just a little bit of that overhang off there. I'm going to say that's all I needed to do. I don't need to remove a lot of material, but just I want them all to be exactly 18. So I say that's pretty close. We'll take it over there and see. I just need to come in and square it up. That's probably down a little farther than what I normally do. Tell you what, I'll pull that up just a hair. We'll start over on that. We'll try to do it a little closer to the top. That looks pretty good. Looks square. Let's see if 18 goes in there nice and easy again. Pull in here, get a good look at it. See what we got here. I'm gonna say still a little tight. It kind of goes in, but it drags. I'm gonna say that's probably a little less than 18 still. We got a 16. 16 is probably gonna be pretty loose. Yeah, 16 is real loose. So yeah, it's a tight 18. So I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna take it out. I'm gonna just remove just a little bit more material, see if I can get that so it's kind of a more easy drag. All right, let's just check it again. Just square it up in the bore. It looks pretty square. Looks like about where it was before. Let's see. Okay, that's a nice gentle drag. So I know the narrowest portion of this towards the wall. It looks pretty even to me, actually. That doesn't look bad. We'll pull it in. That looks good. Again, I'm still using 18 thousandths gauge, and that goes in there just fine. I'm happy with that. That's good. So we got our, just drags just a tad. It was just a little tight. I probably only have to take off like a thousandths maybe. It wasn't much, but now I know that that's exactly at 18, and I want them all at 18. That's what I'm shooting for. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing on the top ring and the same cylinder here, number 3. The top one, this particular one, drags a little easier. So I'm going to say no work needed here. It's fine. It's still at 18, and there's no hard drag. It goes right in. You can feel just a little bit of drag. So I'm going to call that one 18. That one's good. Of course, this one I push it down a little farther in the bore. It still has a nice drag to it. So I'm going to say that one still feels 18 that far down. So that's good. But I'm going to say this bore was probably a little small. I have to go back and check my math. This one's probably just a tad smaller than, say, maybe the number 2 next to it was. No big deal. Okay, number 4 coming in here. Same 18th thou. That one fits in nice. It bottoms out. That's good. Yep, same 18 thousandths. That one's perfect. No rework needed. I'm good with that. We'll just push that one a little farther down. Check that top one. Then we've done all 4 on this bank. So you guys kind of get the idea of what I'm doing here. All right, I got this top ring squared in pretty good. We'll go with the 18. And just in case you guys are wondering what this stuff is right here, that's from me using the dial bore gauge. I left some marks there. It doesn't hurt anything. You can't feel it with your nail or anything. That'll polish off as soon as the engines run in. But anyway, I'm just going to come here with an 18. 18's loose on this one. And I know this is the bore that had the damage from the scorched piston, so I had to hone this one quite a bit. So let's go in with a 20. 20 drags just a little bit. So I'm going to say it's 20-ish, might be 21. But yeah, this bore is just maybe 1/1000th and a half or 2 larger, at least at the top anyway. It's still fairly even bore. I think it only had like maybe 1.5 thousandths out around. I think you're allowed up to 5 in the manual. Of course, you know, if you're an engine builder or a racer, right, you're going to want to be at like 0.5 thousandths out around, but we're not building something like that. But anyway, I'm going to say all of these are good. They're all within that range of, we want 18 minimum, and all of these are exactly 18. This top one's around 20, and this one's maybe 18, 18 and a half. For some reason, this one's a little tighter, the second one. But anyway, I'm going to say all of these are good. The main thing here is I know this engine's going to get run hard, so I don't want the gaps too tight. If they're a little on the loose side, I'm not worried about that whatsoever. So all of these I'm going to say are good. Okay, got the other side already done. Same 18th thou gauge. I'm just going in here. Upper, second, top, yep, second, yep. Come over here, top, yep, second, yep, top, second, yep. So we're all around 18 thou. That's what I wanted, 18 thousandths minimum. So I'm good. So there we go. So we got all the rings gapped. Now I'm just going to get the rings on the pistons. We'll get the pistons in the block and off we go. All right, we're getting our oil control rings on. I'm just showing you this. Right there is our oil support rail. And that's what it looks like before it's installed on the piston. And it's got a little pip right there. And the reason it has that pip is so that it can't work its way around on the piston. And the reason it's there is because there's no material there to support the lower rail. And you don't want the rail to work its way around, or the lower oil control ring. It can actually spiral itself off the piston. So that's why it needs that support rail there for a stroker piston. So I'm just going to get the last couple of these on, and then we'll put the compression rings on. Okay, I'm just going to take the pip right there, and I'm going to line it up best I can over that spot right there, and I'm just going to get it started right there. and then start working it around. Just like that. They're going pretty easy. We'll get that over here. I'll do my best not to scratch the piston. It's kind of hard. Pull it over a little bit. And there we go, it's on. And then there's the pip right there. You see I got it lined up pretty good. That's fine where it's at. And then I'll just have to install the first oil control ring. Will go on top of this. I just want to get this worked down best I can. And when this is on, it does leave a little gap, just like a ring would, so it doesn't overlap. So let's see if we can just get one of the oil rings on. We'll pick a gap like up here. I think we want to have it about right there. And these go on really easy. Just like that. Part that seems to make it a little bit of a challenge with this support rail in, they fit kind of tight. And I'm going to probably set the gap for this expander ring about right there. Getting these started can be a challenge. I'm just going to kind of work it back and forth a little bit, see if I can get it to go in. But I'll keep working it around best I can. See if I can get it to go in. Right in there. I get in a little trouble is when I'm trying to go over the gap right here. This gap right here gives me a bad time. See, it just got away from me. Try working it around from the other side. Start over. Come around this way. Try to get it to go in best I can. Keep working it around. And come around this way. Just about got it. I always get in a little trouble right here. This spot right here where this other gap is on the ring. I got to get that to fit in. Okay, I got it. There we go. So that's in. The only thing I have to do is put the top ring on. That one can be a little troublesome too. Again, I'm just taking my time, and I'm kind of tired here. It's getting towards the end of the day. I'm going to put this gap kind of on the opposite end. Start it here and try to get it to get into that expander ring on top there. Once I get it started, kind of wiggle it around a little bit. Just keep working it around, and it should just pop right in. There we go, that's pretty close. They'll go in, I just gotta wiggle it around a little bit. See right in there. Expander ring came out of me a little bit. Pop that second ring out. Right there, see that? Came out on me. Gonna get that line back up. Get it to go in. There we go. And that's got it. All right, so we got our second. Got all our oil control rings on there. You can see the support rail stays oriented, and it can't walk around because of that little dot. And the whole point of that is to just keep the lower oil control ring from being able to spiral off the piston because of that piece of metal that's missing right there because of the location for that pin boss, since they're, you know, different compression height pistons because they're stroker pistons for a 331. But anyway, I think I got one more of these to do. I'm going to take a break, and then I'll come in with, we picked up a ring expander. I almost always just put the other rings on by hand, but I thought we'd do it the right way this time. Anyway. All right, so the reason I left these in here like this, of course I got a mark on here for my eyesight. I know this is the second ring, this is the top ring, and I got everything numbered. So this is number 8 cylinder. So I know these are fit for number 8. So what I want to do is I want to put these on the number 8 piston. And I've marked it, so I know this will be the one that goes in that hole. So I know these rings are fit for that bore. All right, we've got a ring expander. There we go. We'll just very carefully put this over the piston. We got that lined up. Sure feels like it. There we go. We're still a little off right here. There we go. And that's in. Cool. That was easy. And we'll clock these where they need to be. I'll probably set it right there. about in line with the expander ring gap, which I think is about right there. All right. Okay. Hey, just showing y'all, I'm going in and deburring the edges on any of the rings that I filed, any of the end gaps, just so there's not a sharp edge where the metal kind of gets rolled off when you grind it. So I don't have any sharp edges that will dig into the ring groove on the piston. And also I want to make sure I don't have any sharp edges hanging off the outer edge as well that'll dig into the cylinder bore. As always, thanks for watching. In our next installment, we'll complete the rotating assembly by installing all the pistons.